Okay, everybody. So, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, wherever I'm speaking to. We're all around the world. Thank you so much for kind of coming here and for everybody joining us online too. So, my name's Stuart Brooks, and I'm the chair of the IUCN UK Peatland Programme. I'm also head of conservation at the National Trust for Scotland. And really importantly, I'm also a member of the steering group of the UNEP-led Global Peatland Initiative. And it's a real pleasure to have everybody joining us from all over the world for this opening session for our Peatland Pavilion at COP26 in Glasgow in Scotland. So I've been involved in peatland conservation now for over 25 years. And it's really been amazing, I think, to see the prominence of peatlands here at this COP, receiving the kind of recognition that our peatlands really deserve as one of the key nature-based solutions to part of the global response to climate change. So today we're joined by countries that are committed to the conservation of sustainable management of peatlands. And I've got the honor really to welcome ministers from 4 partner countries of the Global Peatlands Initiative, which is a partnership of 46 international organizations led by the UN Environment Programme. We're going to be welcoming ministers from the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, Indonesia and Peru. We'll also be welcoming the Director General from one of the government of Germany's programs, generously collaborating and funding the Global Peatland Initiative. We are also going to be welcoming a minister from Chile and a cabinet secretary here from Scotland, who have been working together supporting the initiative's work for a number of years actually, and have some exciting news to share towards the end of our event. So this Peatland Pavilion represents a milestone for the Global Peatland Initiative and actually the wider global peatland community. And it's a really important opportunity for that South-South and triangular cooperation where countries, academia, practitioners and people from all over the world are gathered to share their knowledge, experiences and join together to accelerate and really importantly scale up that action for climate and nature. So before we introduce some of our first speakers, I've got a real pleasure to introduce Inge Anderson, the UNEP Executive Director, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but Inge's got a video and we can listen to Inge through your headsets and online.
Excellencies and friends, thank you so much for inviting me to speak at the opening of the Peatlands Pavilion at COP26. As UNEP's emissions gap report issued a few weeks ago made clear, updated climate commitments ahead of COP26 summit fall far short of what is required to avoid climate catastrophe. We have 8 years to halve emissions, 8 years to increase ambitions, make new plans, put in place new policies, and implement them, and ultimately deliver emissions reductions. We can still get the job done, but only if we get moving now, and only if we take advantage of every opportunity. And as we look at the opportunities before us, nature solutions to a warming planet demand attention. I'm therefore delighted that we've come together to mark 5 years of the Global Peatlands Initiative, because peatlands found in more than 170 countries in the world offer super solutions for people, for climate, and for the planet. In 2019, UNEP, along with 12 partners, established the Global Peatlands Initiative, aiming to support countries in addressing peatland degradation and loss. Since then, this partnership has grown to include the 4 major tropical peatland countries of Indonesia, the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Peru. In addition, 46 other international organizations have joined hands to build a strong coalition for action. And I am pleased to see the results. In 2018, Indonesia, the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo committed to the Brazzaville Declaration to save one of the largest peatlands in the world. Together with Peru, these countries have established the International Tropical Peatlands Center to support this effort. We saw great commitments in the 4th UN Environment Assembly resolution on peatlands. We celebrate England and Germany that recently developed peatland strategies, and I congratulate Scotland for your commitment to restoration and encourage other countries to step up ambition for peatlands restoration targets. But we must all do much, much more. Allow me to share 3 areas for your consideration as countries seek to develop the ambitious plans via the NDCs and beyond. Peatlands are a sure shot win to reduce emissions, to support resilience and to improve ecosystems' health. I congratulate countries, including Indonesia and Peru, for leading the way in this. But remember, as I said earlier, 170 countries have peatlands, so many more should follow suit. The second point is that investment and finance need to lean in. I'm pleased to see private banks and initiatives put in place investment criteria that prohibit peatlands to be drained or degraded. But we need everyone to make no deforestation, no peat, and no exploitation the norm rather than the exception. And there will be many opportunities in the UN Decade for Ecosystem Restoration to make sure that this happens. And third and finally, South-South cooperation is critical to the success of global restoration efforts. And in this regard, I acknowledge with deep gratitude the work of the Global Peatlands Initiative partners. We hope to inspire more countries to come on board to protect the world's peatlands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inge. And Inge was extremely supportive, actually, of the IUCN UK Peatland program as we were establishing over 10 years ago. And very, very grateful to her for that support. And the way, actually, she encouraged us in the UK to reach out to other countries and other elements of the IUCN. And I think that kind of investment in us has been kind of well-founded. So I'd like to move now to our second speaker, who's also online but live. So our speaker is Dr. Christiane Paulus. So she's the Director General for the Nature Conservation and Sustainable Use of Natural Resources in the German Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. Those of you who kind of follow the media will know that Germany's been hit very hard recently by the impacts of extreme weather as a result of climate change. But Germany has also been one of the leaders, particularly in a European perspective, of peatland restoration and of course peatland science. So over to you, Christiane.
Thank you for your kind words. And dear honorable ministers, dear friends of the peatland, it's my great pleasure to be here with you at the opening event of the Peatland Pavilion today. First of all, I would like to extend very warm greetings from the German Federal Minister for the Environment, Svenja Schulze, who regrets that she cannot be with you herself today. The pavilion clearly signals how important peatland protection is for successful climate change mitigation, more important today than ever before. And our event in Germany, the flood event, has been mentioned, and that has made clear again very much to us in Germany how necessary it is to turn into action. Peatlands play a key role in achieving the targets not only of the Paris Agreement and the CBD, but also in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And this makes peatlands an outstanding example of nature-based solutions with multiple benefits. And this is why we need to place peatlands very high on the political agenda. As with all natural ecosystems, when we deal with them, we need to apply a response hierarchy. What is meant by that? We must follow the following steps. First, we must protect the remaining intact peatlands. Secondly, we must stop the degradation of already unsustainably used peatlands. And finally, and that is the third step, we need to restore peatlands that are already degraded. And if we are pursuing to these ends, we must push forward climate change mitigation and nature conservation, but we also and always have to consider the needs of local people. So it must be that triad, that we find solutions for nature, for the climate, and for the people. The Global Peatland Initiative deserves a special thank here. The initiative is advancing peatland protection at its best. We have heard that it's already 5 years into place, bringing together stakeholders for exchange and helping to improve the conditions for peatland protection. The knowledge about the location and conditions of peatlands is the first and crucial step to go into effective peatland protection. And what we see is that the potential is already developing. When we decided to fund the Global Peatland Initiatives under German International Climate Initiative, we were very much aware of this, and it is wonderful to see how everything is being realized here, not only in the pavilion, but also with the growing awareness that we see towards the issue of peatland protection. Thanks also already for the work of the GPI at this stage. Yeah, I would like to give you a few facts on our policy at home in Germany, where we also started to attach special importance to promoting peatland protection in the last legislative period. We have a newly updated Climate Change Act that has for the first time set specific targets for emissions in the land use sector, and peatland protection is crucial in achieving these targets. A recently adopted target agreement between our federal states and the federal government have on climate change mitigation through peat soil conservation and the adoption of an overarching national peatland protection strategy has formed a solid foundation for successful protection of peatlands for us. So we have set the ground with the strategies and the agreements, and now we really want in the new legislative period go into the field, go into implementation, and go into action. We agreed on the goal of reducing the annual greenhouse gas emissions from peat soils in Germany by at least 5 million tons of CO2 equivalent by 2030, and that is really an ambitious target, and I think we really have to work hard on it. We have to continue rigorously to pursue the protection of our remaining near natural peatlands. And I have to say that in Germany, due to unsustainable land use, many peat soils in Germany were drained in the past decades to make them usable in agriculture. I think this has taken place in many countries, and we have been following this way also for a long time. Because of this, reducing greenhouse gas emissions from this type of land is key for us. We have to re-wet our peatlands, and this is of course not a very easy task, because for the time being we are only working with voluntary participation and are setting out financial incentives as a basis of our efforts, and hope and are convinced that agricultural enterprises will step in and will support these peatland conservation measures. As I said before, when we search for solutions, we also need to take into account the needs of people in the peatland regions, and therefore we are also working on the development and testing of new management practices for re-wetted peatlands as a core part of our peatland protection measures. And for that, we have been starting long-term pilot projects in Germany with a total of about 50 million euros. And moreover, by 2025, it's our aim that we have provided altogether, not only through the Federal Ministry for the Environment, but for the federal government with other ministries, also around 330 million euros for the financing of rewetting measures. Yeah, but beyond financing, there are other key factors for successful peatland protections, that participation of all relevant stakeholders and public awareness is of importance. We want to ensure that knowledge around the role of peatland protection is anchored in society to increase the acceptance of implementation measures, and this is why we are also happy to share Germany's experience at the Peatland Pavilion after its opening in the next 2 weeks, to exchange our knowledge and our experiences. Yeah, a few more words on our international efforts. We are expanding our international work on these issues, and I've mentioned already the International Climate Initiative. That is our main financing instrument for bringing together climate protection, climate mitigation, and biodiversity protection. We support projects that demonstrate solutions for sustainable peatland protection, and I think in the course of this session, we will hear also about peatland management in Indonesia and rewetting measures in Russia. We are advocating for the inclusion of peatland protections as an important part of the nationally determined contributions of countries that are rich in peatlands. The examples from Germany and many other countries show us that projects in peatland protection can contribute directly for achieving a more sustainable future. It is clear we must make peatland protection a stronger component of our climate policy, and we want to use this platform, the Peatland Pavilion, to bring this into the COP and into the negotiations of the next day. I hope everyone visiting this pavilion and in events will allow themselves to be inspired by the potential of peatlands. I myself will come over in a few days, and I'm very much looking forward to see at least some of our participants here and to discuss with you in person. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Okay, thank you very much, Christiane. And I know a lot of what Christiane just said there kind of really resonates, I think, for a lot of us in different countries around the world. And certainly there was a lot of collaboration from the UK side in helping development of the German strategy. So I think we're probably a little bit ambitious to think that we could schedule kind of a whole series of kind of live ministerial presentations here. So we're just going to have to juggle the order a little bit. And we're going to go to Rubén Ramírez Mateo, the Minister of Environment, Peru. And the Minister has provided us with a video speech. So we're going to go to that, and then I'll be looking on my colleagues to kind of give me the nod that we have a kind of next ministerial presentation lined up. If we don't, I'm going to be singing a song. So I'll be having to think about what I'm going to sing during this next presentation. Okay.
Buenas tardes, señoras ministras de Indonesia, República Democrática del Congo y República del Congo. Señora Directora Ejecutiva del Programa de las Naciones Unidas para el Medio Ambiente, estimados socios de la Iniciativa Mundial de Turberas y distinguidos participantes. Es un grato honor para el Perú participar en esta ceremonia de inauguración del Pabellón de Turberas, ya que somos un país con una importante superficie de turberas tropicales en 3 regiones naturales: la selva, los Andes y la costa, siendo las más extensas las ubicadas en la selva amazónica, con alrededor de 62.000 kilómetros cuadrados. Como es de su conocimiento, las turberas peruanas también contienen gran biodiversidad y brindan bienes y servicios ecosistémicos relevantes como la regulación hídrica, que benefician sobre todo a los pueblos indígenas originarios y a las comunidades locales. Asimismo, las turberas cumplen un rol clave para cumplir con el Acuerdo de París, de mantener el calentamiento global por debajo de 1.5 o menos de 2 grados centígrados debido a su importancia y rol de fijación y almacenamiento de carbono. Sin embargo, las turberas son consideradas ecosistemas altamente frágiles, cuya degradación significa la pérdida irreparable y de emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero desproporcionadamente en altas escalas. Por ello, el Perú recientemente ha aprobado la disposición para la gestión multisectorial y descentralizada de los humedales, norma pionera que busca la protección y la conservación de las turberas y fortalece la gestión multisectorial de estos importantes ecosistemas. Asimismo, nos encontramos trabajando de manera articulada con los gestores territoriales y los más interesados en la conservación y el uso sostenible de los ecosistemas como los bosques y las turberas, pues la región ambientalmente requiere de la participación y compromiso de los diversos actores públicos y privados vinculados, contribuyendo a consensos bajo una mirada de un común del país que peruanas y peruanos merecemos. Tenemos retos muy importantes que incluyen seguir trabajando de manera conjunta en la construcción de una gobernanza multisectorial, multinivel y multiactor, donde nuestras políticas y estrategias de intervención permitan mantener los bosques en pie, incluyendo que las turberas, de manera que la naturaleza sea nuestra principal aliada para disminuir la vulnerabilidad de las poblaciones locales y mitigar de esa manera los efectos del cambio climático. En esa medida, venimos trabajando en una propuesta para incluir las turberas como parte de nuestra contribución nacionalmente determinada, denominada Conservación y Gestión Sostenible de las Turberas Amazónicas, alineadas a los objetivos de nuestra Ley Marco sobre Cambio Climático y su reglamento, donde se reconoce a la mitigación y a la adaptación basada en ecosistemas, con un enfoque para la gestión integral del cambio climático, así como parte de la actualización de instrumentos de política priorizados como la Estrategia Nacional de Diversidad Biológica y la Estrategia Nacional frente al Cambio Climático enfocado al año 2050, con miras a alcanzar la meta de carbono neutralidad. Finalmente, como socios de la Iniciativa Mundial de Turberas, estamos implementando acciones para promover el intercambio de experiencias como una importante solución basada en la naturaleza, en el marco de la 4ª reunión de los países miembros que esperamos desarrollar al año 2022 en nuestro país. En ese sentido, agradecemos al Programa de las Naciones Unidas para el Desarrollo del Medio Ambiente y a la Iniciativa Global de Turberas por permitirnos contar con este maravilloso pabellón en la COP26, que se constituye como un espacio para el intercambio de información a nivel global. Juntos seguiremos concretando acciones para garantizar la conservación y el uso sostenible de estos ecosistemas, tan importantes para nuestro país y para el planeta. Muchas gracias a todas y todos.
Okay, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to our guests online as well. And it's a real honor for me to welcome to speak Bapak Alue Dohong, the Vice Minister of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia, to share with us how peatlands are advancing multiple goals in Indonesia and how peatland restoration and protection has enabled Indonesia to raise its ambition for climate and nature action together. I'm particularly delighted to welcome you here because you are a fellow member of the steering group of the Global Peatland Initiative and a very valued member at that. So please.
Thank you. So first of all, allow me to open up my mask here. Sorry for this. Excellency, Minister, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you, and especially for those who joining us physically and virtually through Zoom platform, I think. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude and appreciation for the hard work and dedication provided by Global Peatlands Initiative of the UNEP and the partners in hosting this Peatland Pavilion at the sideline of COP26 UNFCCC. It is my great honor to have this opportunity to join excellencies and other distinguished participants at the opening session of this Peatland Pavilion, and also being as Global Peatland Initiative Steering Committee members to reflect our achievement of working together for the past 5 years, and to share Indonesia's best practices, lessons learned, and experiences in managing tropical peatland to achieve our national development agenda while contributing to the international commitment to raise our climate ambition. Distinguished participants, working on peatland is not a simple and easy task. It requires strong effort and continuous commitment in managing, protecting, and restoring peatlands. We continue to seek effective ways to protect and prevent peatlands from burning, either through rewetting, revegetation, and revitalization of local livelihood. The Indonesian government has a strong commitment to the protection and sustainable management of peatland ecosystem, as reflected by the direction of His Excellency President Joko Widodo to protect, sustainably manage the peatland ecosystem, as well as to prevent from potential forest and peatland fires. A long story in managing peatland has begun when the National Peatland Program emerged in 1996. Our experiences show that, first, peatland can be managed well to some extent for improving people's prosperity, but this ecosystem need to be protected as well. Second, the peatland dome must be absolutely protected. Third, degraded peatland can be recovered by making them wet and controlling the hydrological parameters supported by technical know-how, such as LIDAR, the use of Darcy methods on water balance calculation, controlling forest fires, maintaining water balance at the site level, and etc. And finally, 5, community participation and engagement, which is essential and needs to be supported by public awareness and law enforcement effort. Excellencies, distinguished participants, we do implement integrated policies and regulation under collaborative works of the line ministries related with peatland. The government regulation number 57 of 2016 becoming a cornerstone of the efforts. We started with hydrological peatland unit approach and classifying peatland function into conservation and cultivation. At the same year, His Excellency President Joko Widodo established a specific unit, we call it Restoration Agency. This agency actually has a task to do a restoration of about 2 million hectares up to 2020. And part we also and enforce law. Even sometimes, oh sorry, test. No, is it my voice clear enough to everyone? Test. It's not all right. How should I say? Okay. In terms of maintaining peatlands wet throughout the year, our government regulation obligate the peatland manager to keep the water table height of 4.0 meter below the peat surface. Hydrological measures that have been implemented included construction of appropriate canal blocking, canal backfillings, water fountains, artesian well, as well as weather modification technology through cloud seeding to localize rainfalls on peatlands. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we apply fire prevention agenda as directed by our president since 2017. And we do practice for the forest fire prevention until the permanent implementation, comprising steps such as hotspot monitoring, weather modification, and cloud seeding, patrol, public awareness raising, community livelihood improvement, and paralegal and law enforcement. Moreover, we have issued a decree regarding national long-term planning for peatland protection and management of 2020 up to 2049 as reference for the implementation of peatland protection and management at national, provincial, as well as at district level. Excellencies, distinguished participants, we have currently about 280 concessions in 224 peatland hydrological units, with impact of peatland restoration about more than 3.47 million hectares. The restoration activities are supported by development of rewetting infrastructure, including development or constructed of more than 10,000 units of water table compliant points and 1,121 data logger real-time water table monitoring, 792 units of rainfall monitoring station, as well as construction of 27,889 of canal blocking unit with spillway and non-spillway technique. We have many commitments living within and surrounding peatlands, and they also be exposed to the fire risk. At the same time, they can also benefit from the peatland. Hence, in implementing peatland protection management in communities areas, Government of Indonesia has developed community-based peatland management program to empower community to actively participate and improve community livelihood in line with implementation of sustainable peatland management. As part of National Economic Recovery Program to cope with COVID-19 pandemic, our government has also established the demonstration fund for the community economic welfare that has been implemented to rice cultivation on peatland, such as in Alue village in Central Kalimantan, particularly on peatland area dominated by shallow peat layer with a depth less than 3 meters, and some even less than 1 meter. In addition, paludiculture activities was also implemented at the peatland area in deep peat layer. The purpose of this establishment of demonstration farm and paludiculture demonstration activities are to teach local people on how to use peatland without fire or burning. If the peatland is allowed to be utilized, thus the local community will protect peatland from fires, strengthen the purchasing power, and the resilience against the pandemic as effort to recover the national economy. Excellencies, distinguished participants, as mid-2020, Indonesia has also improved fire awareness group, or we call it Masyarakat Peduli Api, or MPA, program by strengthening communities with burned forests and lands through the program of legal awareness of community development, or we call it Paralega. And sharing information and strengthening knowledge capacity on peatland practices. Excellencies, distinguished participants. Another recognition of importance of peatland is the adoption of United Nations Environment Assembly on conservation and sustainable peatland management. In Indonesia, and supported by member states and relevant stakeholders, has successfully convinced the Assembly to agree to the resolution, which also shows Indonesia's commitment to collaborate with UNEP member states and other stakeholders to provide greater emphasis to the conservation, sustainable management, and restoration of peatland worldwide in support the sustainable practice of the peatland management. The Global Peatlands Initiative and ITPC may play a significant roles in following up resolution through capacity building, as well as through identifying synergies and related collaboration action in managing peatland ecosystem in sustainable manners and safeguarding peatland ecosystem services that evolve the interests of relevant international organizations, member states, and other stakeholders. All in all, I want to emphasize that peatland provide promising resources if we utilize it with environmental sound approaches. I thank you for your kind attention and wish this event will be able to strengthen our collaboration even in this difficult situation of pandemic COVID-19. Thank you very much for your all kind attention.
Thank you so much. And I think we can all gain huge inspiration, I think, from what Indonesia has done and the level of ambition that it has and the level of ambition that it's communicating. And there are so many parallels, I think, around the world and here too, with, I think, how you're involving people in the conservation, both the conservation message and also the conservation solution, which is absolutely critical, I think, to success. So thank you very, very much. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce Maria Carolina Schmidt-Zaldivar, Minister of Environment for Chile, followed by our very own Michael Matheson, the Cabinet Secretary for Net Zero, Energy and Transport for the Scottish Government. Now, I'm introducing our two speakers together because these two great peatland nations are today declaring a formal collaboration. So established, I think, at a previous COP and possibly even conversations before that. So it's extremely fitting, I think, that this collaboration is formalized here at the first Peatland Pavilion to happen at a COP here in Glasgow. And it just really underlines, I think, the value of bringing people together in this way to encourage and inspire each other to greater levels of ambition and collaboration. So can I like to introduce you first to please come and take the stand. Thank you.
Dear Minister, friends, it's really, I'm very happy to be here in Scotland in the Peatland Pavilion to talk about how we have come together, really to put into the table the importance of having the multilateral help in order to conserve peatlands and also the wise use of peatlands. It was in Madrid the first time we came together, and we have worked strongly since then. So it's great to share with you, some of that work and then be able to establish our commitment together in this collaboration. Nature-based solution could provide around 30% of the cost-effective mitigation we need by 2030. They also provide a powerful defense against the impacts of long-term hazards of climate change. That's why they are so important and they must be central in our climate strategies. The landscape of both Scotland and Chile in the south of our Patagonia are dominated by peatlands. These type of wetlands are part of our natural heritage. They are our traditions and also our culture. And our people feel them, very part of their lives. Therefore, together with Scotland, we share a global responsibility to protect peatlands as well as to use wisely this unique ecosystem. In number, around 3% of Chile's surface is covered by peatlands, representing more or less 3 million hectares and storing approximately 4.8 gigatons of carbon, which has been accumulating for the last 18,000 years. Peatlands are relevant not only in terms of mitigating climate change, but also in helping us to adapt to its effects, given that they regulate water cycles and store 10% of the planet's fresh water and purifying the water as well. For instance, in the islands of Chiloé, this island at the south of Chile, located, in the very south of our country, most of the water consumed by the local communities comes from peatlands. Despite the importance of peatlands in climate action, this ecosystem has experienced accelerated degradation, mainly due to drainage, land use change, invasion of exotic species, such as beavers in our country in a strong way, and overexploiting the peat and moss to use them as substrate for ornamental plants like orchids, for example. For Chile, the management and protection of wetlands and peatlands is fundamental. Currently, there is considerable imbalance of protection at a regional level and significant regulatory gaps persist. So, greater protection is needed urgently. That's why Presidente Piñera launched a national plan for wetland protection to stop the degradation of wetlands and preserve their rich biodiversity. That is how we have protected in the last 3 years more than 280,000 hectares of wetlands in my country, creating 34 new protected zones under this National Plan for Wetland Protection. Additionally, we have approved a law for protecting urban wetlands, which are the most threatened with the changes in the use of land. Since we approved this law, 33 urban wetlands have been protected, which is equivalent to more than 2,500 hectares of urban wetlands protected. The protection of this ecosystem is particularly important for people. I must say that not only 88% of the population lives in city, where they have, these wetlands very with hazards, but in all the politics we have implemented with the people in the territory, I must say that is the most welcome by the communities. People feel wetlands as part of their daily life. Most of their activity, that's in green areas, happen close to the wetlands. They become a place for union, for family to go out, to also for environmental education for the kids. So every time you go and protect a wetland, the people feel it's gonna disappear because of all the size of the cities that are getting even bigger and bigger all the time. They feel you are protecting some of their lives. And this is really, really important to understand. Chile integrates nature-based solutions such as peatlands in our updated national determinate contribution that we present last April 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. These include goals of identification, mapping, and protection of peatlands among its commitments. To carry out these goals, Chile is implementing our Chilean Peatland Roadmap 2020-2030, supported by the Wildlife Conservation Society that will contribute to its progress in all the different multilateral agreements. Additionally, just last week, we launched Chile long-term climate strategy that we are presenting now here at COP26, which includes the development of an updated national inventory of peatlands and gather information to include these ecosystems in the national greenhouse gas inventory. For us, when you are inside the inventory, you can actually manage, the situation with the peatland. On this path, we cannot move forward alone. The support and collaboration between nations is crucial. The Global Peatlands Initiative constitutes a key international partnership to save peatlands as the world's largest terrestrial organic carbon stock, which is a goal that all of us here pursue. The signing of this Memorandum of Understanding between Chile and Scotland marks a key moment to our country to move decisively towards climate action that not only protects the ecosystems in our countries, but also contributes to the quality of life of people in our territory. That is why it's so important. We are very grateful to Scotland. I'm sure you know that having here the COP26 also is good news for this relation between Chile and Scotland. So thank you a lot, and you can count on Chile for peatland protection. Thank you.
Thank you, well done. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for your invitation to be able to join you here tonight at the opening of the first Peatlands Pavilion at a COP event. So this is a historical moment and one which I think has long been needed, and I've no doubt it will not be the last Peatland Pavilion at a COP event. I want to take this opportunity to put on record my thanks to everyone who's made it possible to create the pavilion and to design it in the way in which they have. The challenges during the course of the pandemic have made these things more difficult, but I want to offer my personal thanks to all of those who have assisted in its development. The Scottish Government is also very pleased to be one of the sponsors of this particular pavilion in the coming 2 weeks, and I have got absolutely no doubt that it will be well used and it will be used to celebrate the wonderful habitats that our peatlands provide. This pavilion, I believe, also provides a fantastic opportunity to consider much more carefully the crucial and important role that our peatlands have globally, for our people and for our planet in the future. Throughout the course of this conference, it will be home, it will be the focus of all things peat and its contribution it can make to tackling climate change. It creates a facility which will allow the sharing of ideas, the reflecting of views, for debate and also for collaboration and making friends on a global scale. If we are to mobilise our collective effort to tackle climate change, then we need to ensure that we do so in a way that will deliver on the commitments that were set out in the Paris Agreement almost 6 years ago. I believe that the programme of events which have been set out for this pavilion demonstrate the desire to set very clearly the role that peatlands can play in meeting those commitments. You can see from the pavilion's programme over the course of the next 2 weeks that it will be one which is not only an impressive programme, but one which will be varied and it will be vibrant. In Scotland, we have a lot of peat. In one form or another, over 2 million hectares of Scotland are peatland. That is equivalent to 1/4 of our land area. Our peatlands play a key part in our landscape, culture, and also in our natural heritage. They're woven very much into Scotland's identity. The range of benefits provided to both the environment and to communities by our peatlands when they're in good conditions is well known. And they're also helping us to adapt to climate change. And of course, through their role in capturing and storing carbon, they also play a crucial part in mitigating against climate change. Scottish peatlands are estimated to store around, in the region of, carbon equivalent to 140 years worth of our annual greenhouse gas emissions. Today we talk about the development of creating carbon capture for our oil and gas industry. Here we have a nature-based form of carbon capture on our very own doorstep. However, globally, we have not been kind to our peatlands over many years. They have been extensively damaged through drainage. There's been extraction, burning, grazing, developments such as renewable energy projects and climate change itself have all had a degrading impact on our peatlands here in Scotland. Scotland has had its fair share of changes and pressures, with around 1/3 of Scotland's peatlands now viewed as being degraded as a result of our own impact on them. In that condition, we start to lose all of the benefits that they can provide us with. And rather than storing carbon, they start to become net emitters of carbon. Scotland's peatlands are now responsible for around 10% of our gross annual carbon emissions. That is clearly a very significant impact. However, so too is the enormous potential for peatland restoration and protection to play its role in helping to reduce our emissions and to support Scotland's journey to becoming a net zero nation by 2045. Scotland is fundamentally now recognising that peatland restoration and peatland conservation is a pivotal nature-based solution for addressing the twin crises of global climate change and loss of biodiversity. It's vital that we act now to ensure that these habitats are resilient and better able to protect our environment, communities and infrastructure from the impact of climate change that we will unfortunately inevitably now experience. In Scotland, we have worked hard to restore some of our degraded peatlands, and since 2012, with around 30,000 hectares put on the road to recovery to date. Now, this may be to some degree good progress, but we're having to take this forward with partners from across both the public, private and third sector to ensure that we do much more in the years ahead. We must go further, and we need to work hard on a number of fronts to secure the type of change that's needed to restore the rates of our peatlands at a much greater rate than we are to date. So to support our ambition around peatland restoration, in 2020, as a government, we committed to investing £250 million to restore at least 250,000 hectares of degraded peatland between now and 2030. Alongside this, and as recommended by our Hill, Upland and Crofting Farmers-led group, we're examining the place of peatland in new mechanisms for agriculture support from 2024. And as well as the benefits this will bring to tackling the twin crises, I'm also determined that this investment will also help to deliver our green economic recovery and a just transition to becoming a net zero nation through the creation of good, green, skilled jobs and supporting our rural economy and landowners as they develop and restore our peatlands. This type of public investment in peatland restoration is crucial, but we know that it won't go far enough. Significant levels of action are needed to be taken forward in order to secure new and additional sources of investment, including significant contributions from the private sector to meet the pace and the scale of the challenge which we now face. Increasing this blend of public and private investment in our natural capital is vital to achieving our climate change ambitions and to become a net zero nation by 2045. And that's why we now have a mission to secure greater investment in peatland restoration across Scotland. We're committed to improving our policies and our actions in order to secure leverage from private investment into nature-based climate solutions like peatland restoration and conservation. And as well as our commitment to peatland restoration, we're also taking action on the other side of the coin to improve the protection and management of Scottish peatlands through our developing policy on planning and wildlife management. In particular, we have pledged to phase out the use of peat in horticulture, and as a first step within that, we are now taking forward work to deliver our commitment to ban the sale of peat-related garden products. Colleagues and friends, just as the climate emergency on a global scale is now a pressing crisis for us all to address, it's also important that we ensure that we take the appropriate measures to protect our peatlands and our wetlands and to recognise the central role that they can play in helping to tackle our climate emergency. Now is the time, I believe, for us to work together and to share the knowledge and the understanding that we are building and how we can care for what is a very precious habitat. I'm delighted to be here alongside Minister Carolina Smith, who you've already heard from, to sign a memorandum of understanding with our colleagues in the Ministry of Environment of Chile on the conservation and on the management of aquatic ecosystems. Like Scotland, Chile has extensive peatlands and wetland habitats, freshwater and marine, that are under threat of degrading. We share the responsibility of protecting and restoring our wetland habitats for the climate and for the communities, and to share the learning with each and every other one who shares our joint priority of restoration and conservation of our peatlands. It's vital that countries like Scotland take our share of responsibility in finding solutions to the global climate emergency. In this, we also want to learn from other nations and to share our own knowledge and vision on how we take this forward. It's my hope that this memorandum of understanding will facilitate just that, providing a framework for ongoing international collaboration between Scotland and Chile. Peatlands present us with a compelling call to action and also a tremendous opportunity. If we protect, restore, sustainably manage and invest in these habitats, the rewards will be great. We can reduce emissions at scale while improving habitats, supporting biodiversity, and we can also create good green jobs. Looking ahead to the next 2 weeks, we must do all that we can to seize the opportunity and go forward in a spirit of ambition, drive, and in collaboration. I'm proud of our ambition and commitment to peatlands in Scotland, but we have much more to do, and we certainly don't have all of the answers. This pavilion provides you with an opportunity to have that forum, to share collective experience and knowledge, to have open minds and curiosity, to learn from each other and how we can take on this collective role. I wish you every success during the course of the programme, and I sincerely hope that the legacy of this pavilion is that peatlands becomes recognised as a crucial part of our challenge in meeting the climate change that the globe now faces. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you well.
Thank you very, very much, Cabinet Secretary. And if I'm not wrong, a son of Glasgow. So how apt, really, to be in the Peatland Pavilion as a son of Glasgow. And I just find it hugely inspirational that we're hearing our political leaders talking with such kind of passion and commitment about the future of our peatlands. And I think the scale of ambition that you've communicated is exactly the message that the international peatland community kind of want and need to hear. So thank you very, very much. So thank you on behalf of the Global Peatlands Initiative and all of the coordinators of the Peatland Pavilion. And I very much hope that we will have another Peatlands Pavilion at the next COP, and we'll be up at the next level of ambition, talking about where we're going to go to next from this, I think, really, really kind of creative and ambitious commitment that you've laid out for us. So I'm now going to invite everybody to stay with us and have a drink. I think there are some drinks around the corner. Maybe they're going to come out. And invite the Cabinet Secretary and the Minister to undertake the kind of formal signing of our Memorandum of Understanding. Thank you very much.
Okay, well done, let's go.
Can we just beg you to just to hang on 2 seconds? And we'll
Yeah.
get the team.
Yeah.